Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. So, hopefully you read Act 4, Scenes 1 and 2. If you did not, you do need to do that because at least Act 4, Scene 1 is pretty dang important. So, and there's some important stuff that happens in Act 4, Scene 2, while the entire scene is not, like, super duper important. Basically, I'll go over in more detail in my Act 4 review, but for what we were supposed to complete, which was this, which I'm going to go ahead and open in Cami, which is what you guys should have done. What we are going to do is we need to break down the Friar's plan. So in Act 4, Scene 1, Juliet goes to Friar Lawrence and is like, hey, I'll do anything, but you need to have a plan or I'm going to kill myself. Which kind of mirrors Romeo's immediate, like, oh, I'm going to kill myself thing. So, that being said, our first thing is to read Friar Lawrence's speech in Act 4, Scene 1, and then plan out in 6 clear steps and detail below in your own words, and identify the problems at each stage. So I broke it down in my own steps. You can have different steps. That is fine. I'm going to click text box. I'm going to click there, and I'm going to say the first step was that Juliet had to return and agree to marry Paris. So if you remember, she said she was not going to marry Paris, and her parents hated her for it. So Friar Lawrence says, you got to go back, you got to agree to marry Paris. Now, once you have agreed to marry Paris, his next step is that she needs to make sure she's alone that night. So the night before her wedding. Make sure... he says, like, the nurse can't be in there, your mom can't be in there, you need to be alone. And she needs to be alone because step 3 is she has to take this weird potion that he has concocted. So, take the medication that the friar made. So, this medication, he tells her, will make her fall asleep for in a death-like state for 42 hours. And she's going to be buried into the Capulet tomb at this time, which he means something like this. Hold on. Let's see if we can Google it. So something like this, as you can kind of see, it's not like a teeny tiny little coffin. It's like more like a mausoleum. It's got a couple of rooms, and it'll have multiple places for somebody to be buried. It's gonna look like this. So, anyways, going back to this. So, the medication, can't spell today, will make her appear dead, and she will be buried in the Capulet tomb. So, and you know what, we're going to add in there that it's only for 42 hours. So, she's going to look dead for 42 hours, and she will be buried in the Capulet tomb. Meanwhile, so while this is going on, Friar Lawrence will send a letter to Romeo and let him know what is going on. And then, oh, that didn't do what it's supposed to do. So Friar Lawrence is going to send this letter, and then Romeo will save Juliet from the tomb when she wakes up, and they will run away to Mantua. So that's how I broke it down. You could have broken it down totally differently. That is okay. So my step 1 is Juliet had to return to her house and agree to marry Paris. Then step 2, Juliet has to make sure that she is alone the night before her wedding. She has to do that because step 3 is to take that medication that the friar made. Now remember, it's going to slow her breathing, it's going to make her pale, it's going to slow her heart. So this medication will make her appear dead, which is step 4, for 42 hours, and she's going to be buried in the Capulet tomb. Meanwhile, so step 5 is, while this is all going on, Friar Lawrence is going to send a letter to Romeo and let him know what's going on. Because remember, Romeo is completely clueless. He just left for Mantua. He doesn't know that Juliet is going to be forced to marry Paris. So Friar Lawrence is going to send this letter and let him know so he doesn't freak out. Then we've got step 6. Romeo will save Juliet from the tomb when she wakes up, and then will run away to Mantua. So, over here, if you see, it says potential problems. So, potential problem with this, her parents might not believe her. Because remember, she sat there and, swore that she was not going to marry him. Maybe the nurse, so the second one, she's got to be alone. Or her mother may want to spend the night with her. So, she's about to be married off, and remember, the nurse is the one who raised her, so she may want, one more night where she gets to be with Juliet. That could be a problem. So, the medication could not work, or it could be poisoned. We'd like to think that it isn't, because Friar Lawrence seemed like a good guy, but at the same time, if Juliet's parents find out that he married them behind their back, it's not going to end up so good for him. So, lots of things to think about. Step 4, medication will make her appear dead. What if she isn't buried immediately? And she wakes up in the house. That could be a huge problem. What if this letter doesn't get to Romeo? And then we've got step 6. So what if Romeo and Juliet are discovered in Mantua? Or Romeo could be discovered breaking into the tomb. That'd be kind of sketchy. So there's a lot of things that could happen. There's a lot of problems they could have. You do not have to have these problems. These are just some that I could think of. So, next, can you think of a better plan than the one that Friar came up with? Detail it below, taking into account the context of the time and Juliet's pressure from her parents. So this is kind of an opinion one. There's no real right answer. There are some wrong ones. For example, she can't just run away to Mantua because her parents will go looking for her, and if she is discovered, there are several bad things that could happen. So, you gotta kind of try to come up with a different plan than that. Maybe they run away to somewhere else. Maybe she marries Paris. Maybe she tells the prince. I don't know. But this is an opinion one, so tell me what plan you could come up with based on the fact that Juliet is a piece of property. She is. And that her parents want her to marry Paris. So go ahead and think about it and come up with your own plan. But that being said, make sure you've got at least this first portion done. Okay? I say that's being said a lot. I'm sorry. Either way, though, what I need you to do is I need you to make sure that you have this completed by midnight tonight for me. So, have a good day, and I will see you in the next video.